Hello, Jason here. I'm going to do another book review. Today I'm talking about The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang. This is the sequel to The Poppy War, which I read and reviewed about a month ago, maybe. I really enjoyed The Poppy War. I was really eager to kind of see where the story was going to go. And this book is amazing, like really, really good. Yeah, really enjoyed it. It was super dark. It was super like anti-war kind of sentiment, and yeah, it was just really just a great book. It really built upon the world that was developed and created in the Poppy War, and expanded on it, added a few other cool things, and we got to see a lot more of Rin, the main character, and her development and how she changes over the course of the book, which I thought was one of the best parts about the book. And my God, God, all the characters felt like real, and they had their own sort of motivations around what they were doing, and you understood why they were doing the things that they were doing. And yeah, it was really great. It was really good. It's a military campaign fantasy, so they are at war and they are fighting battles, and it's a lot about political like stuff that's going on between the different warlords from the different provinces of Nikan. There's also outside factions. You know, the Federation of Mugen is still in country. You know, at the end of the Poppy War, Rin basically blows up the entire island of Mugen and kills everyone there. But the Federation still exists, and they're still, you know, part of the overall picture of the war. And then, you know, the Empire, the Empress Daji, she's mainly the story is about, it's a civil war between this one the dragon warlord. His name is Viceroy. He's Neza's dad. And he is trying to overthrow the empire and institute like a democratic republic. And so he recruits Rin and the Sikh to help him in that, and he basically gives her no other option. So we start the story, and it's basically takes place right after the Poppy War. The Sikh are on a boat, they're floating around. They're kind of outlaws because the Empress wants them dead. They've got, I think Rin's got a bounty on her head or whatever, but they're going around, they're assassinating various targets, and what they ultimately want to do is assassinate the Empress. And they get an opportunity to do that, but they screw it up, and they aren't able to succeed, and that's what gets them, Rin and the rest of the Sikh, kind of captured by Viceroy. And during this whole time, this is the first, you know, third of the book or whatever, the first couple hundred pages, Rin is struggling with like PTSD, and she's addicted to opium, and like she's just in a bad place overall. And, you know, like because of the events of the first book, you know, she's got a lot of things going on. You know, she blames herself for Altan's death. She blames herself for genocide, which she's kind of guilty of, actually. But yeah, there's all this stuff that she's dealing with, and like I said, she's just super addicted to opium. She like, yeah, it's bad. So they get captured or whatever by Viceroy, and he's like, I want you to fight for me, but you gotta kick this stuff. So he makes her stop doing opium, and there's this whole thing where she's going through withdrawals and all this crazy stuff. But yeah, she eventually, gets clean, and then she's able to use her powers again more effectively, and she starts to like hone her abilities and really start to control the fire, which is awesome. So anyway, yeah, and then the rest of the book is about she gets this seal put on her by Sudaji, which basically prevents her from communing with the Phoenix, so she's not able to call the fire for like a huge chunk of this book. And like Viceroy, the Republic, they want to use her as like a weapon and whatever. But since she can't call fire for a lot of it, they just posture. They pretend that she can still do it, and they just use her as like a figurehead almost. And then she starts to train with a weapon, get better at that, because she can't use fire, so she has to, basically be like a regular soldier. And all the while, they're doing their like military campaign. They're invading towns and taking things over and fighting and stuff like that, which is super like brutal and like it's crazy. And yeah, so they go throughout this campaign. She eventually does get her powers back through great sacrifice and personal cost. And not only that, but other people have to like do some pretty outrageous stuff in order for her to be able to get her powers back. And yeah, so it's really it's pretty crazy, like the stuff that has to go on for her to be able to use her powers again. And then like there's also this whole other faction involved in this war. They're the Hesperians. They're basically like Europeans, I guess, but they're like dangling their aid in front of Viceroy, the Dragon Republic guy, and telling him, like, hey, if you're worthy enough, we'll give you, warships. And they've got like more advanced technology, like they've got like airships and things like Zeppelins and stuff like that. So yeah, but they're like withholding that until something happens. They're like they keep promising like, oh yeah, we'll help you out if whatever. So yeah, they also, there's like a religious element to this whole thing. They're like they've got missionaries, and they're basically like Christians. They believe in like one God, which the Nikara, or yeah, whatever, they think that's really weird because they have 64 gods, and like it's just, yeah. So there's like this religious sort of element to that too. They've also got guns. They call them arquebuses, but they're guns, which the Nikara people are like, oh man, that's like a crazy weapon that we've never seen before, and it. Yeah, so there's that whole thing. But, yeah, I mean, it goes through, they end up winning the war and whatever, blah, blah, blah. The last, 50 pages of this book blew me away. Like, I knew something was going to happen. But I did not see, the backstabbing and the betrayal and all of this, and, oh my god. Just, it's devastating what has to happen. And, Rin's sacrifice is crazy. And, it was so good, the ending. But, yeah, basically, Rin is a character. This is a lot about her personal growth and how she goes from, blaming herself for what she's done and for Altan's death and being addicted to opium and having to deal with all this stuff, to using other people's influence as a way to diminish her responsibility for this stuff. She's like, oh well, if someone else is telling me to do something, then I can just it's like I was just following orders, to then at the end she's finally no, I'm in control. This is my life. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna be a commander. and I'm going to like be in control of my life and take responsibility for my stuff. So that whole character arc was really, really interesting. And I'm so excited for the next one. I cannot wait to read it. It comes out in like a month. I cannot wait to read it and see where this goes. She might still end up being kind of the bad guy of the story, but yeah, it's just like really, really, really cool. And everyone manipulates her like through the whole book. People use her for their ends, and she just kind of goes along because she doesn't know what to do. She seems very like lost and directionless. And someone tells her like, "Hey, do this," and she does it. And people are able to manipulate her and to use her for their purposes. And when she finally realizes at the end that like she knows what she wants and she's willing to go for it, and she's not going to let other people tell her what to do anymore, that was a huge like step for her. It was very cool. The other characters I thought were great. I thought Viceroy and Neza and yeah, everyone had, like I said, everyone had their own like motivations, and then by the end, at first you're like, what the hell's going on? Like who do you trust during this whole thing? And it's kind of hard to know because people are like backstabbing each other, and there's all this political maneuvering going on. But by the end, you're like, okay, I see what's going on, and it sucks. Rin got used in horrific ways to further other people's agendas, and it's sad to see. But like I said, it's good that by the end she realizes what's going on, and she decides that she's going to take control. And yeah, so it sets it up for another war, basically, in another civil war, or continuing, I guess, with the same civil war. In the next book. So yeah, but like I said, I really enjoyed it. I don't really have much else to say on it. If you like military fantasy and just super, super high stakes stuff going on, like Rin really it's brutal, some of the stuff that happens in this book. It's very dark. I guess one other thing that I would like to say is there's a couple of parts early on in the military campaign, excuse me, where they're like fighting in towns and stuff, and they like take over, and then like they're part of this republic, right? So they don't want to just murder everybody. They want to get these people, like these towns that they take over, into the fold of the republic. And so they let the civilians like vote. And there's a couple of towns that like they opposed them and they fought against them, and they even like allied themselves with the Federation in order to try to fight the Republic. And there's a couple of scenes where like they let these people live because they let them become part of the Republic. And Rin and a couple of the other characters are like, no, we should just kill them all. Like, let's fucking, like, that's too good for them. They shouldn't be allowed to. They opposed us. They've sided with the Federation. They're evil people. And what I think is interesting about that is, like, she's advocating for killing, like, an entire town worth of people, civilians, everybody, because of their alliance with the Federation, who, you know, they didn't give these people any choice. They said, we're going to kill you if you don't, team up with us. But it's just interesting because that exact same thing happened to her in the first book with Goli Niz, and she doesn't realize that she's advocating for atrocities on the same level that happened in the first book, that's the reason why she hates the Federation so much, is because they committed this atrocity. And so I think that's interesting. That it just shows that, like, when you create an enemy, like, and dehumanize them and make them into a monster, that you're like, even the good guys can be capable of horrible, horrible stuff. Now, thankfully, someone points this out to her, and she realizes that, yeah, that they don't deserve to be tortured and killed. But I just thought that was an interesting sort of juxtaposition between the two different books and showing her mentality and how even Rin is able to like do horrible things to people, or willing to do horrible things to people, in the name of, you know, justice or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. It was that I thought was cool. But yeah, the book was great. Can't wait for the next one. Thanks for watching. This is like and subscribe if you like stuff like this, or you like what I'm doing on the channel. I'm going to continue to do reviews. I don't really know what my next video is going to be, but like I said, I am going to read the next book when it comes out. I think it's called The Burning God. So look forward to that. Yeah, if you have any other comments or want to talk more, just leave just down below in the comments, and I'll respond to that. And yeah, have a good one, guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.